So at this point, I've done several videos where I've talked through different concepts about money, going over my overall ideas and like what I'm trying to convey, and realized there's a lot of these videos and a lot of videos I've watched about money, like there's usually a lot of negative connotation added to things like inflation and not being able to get money. Then that has to do a lot with the emotions and everything tied up to money. But I made me realize I wanted to not necessarily give that connotation whenever I'm talking. So I talked about things like gold, inflation, and energy for money and debt. All those have a negative appeal to them of like, be careful about using money this way. But going back to the original concept of money is a medium of exchange for energy, I want to go back and hit like some of the positive points in that and why that's useful, because it is absolutely useful. If I don't have a medium of exchange, then I have to learn to barter or exchange services or time or something for everything that I want. And that can be quite taxing, taken advantage of a lot. Or no, I don't think anybody wants that. And this is an argument I've been in with somebody before. They were talking about they were talking about the fiat currency and how it's terrible and it should be gold backed and all this stuff. But I always go back to this point of like, we live in a society and we've traded a lot of things for the current setup. And if you really honestly look at the things we've traded for that setup, you'll find there are probably a lot of things you don't actually want to do. If we go back, say 150, 200 years, everybody farmed. We didn't have jobs where we go make money and then exchange that money for food. This gets into that deeper conversation about societies and grouping together and specializing in things. And it's kind of like a brief interlude into economics in general. It's I specialize in like automation type stuff and maintenance. My field of study didn't even exist 200 years ago, and I'm very happy with the exchange to be able to get the money and then go get what I want, because pretty much most of the stuff I want for fun and enjoyment, none of that stuff existed 200 years ago either. 200 years ago, the vast majority of us would be hunting and farming for food. There's been pockets of civilization that's not been the case. But really wanted to point that out. Like, there is this huge benefit we get from having this fiat currency and being able to exchange our time for this medium, and then taking that medium and going and getting the things we need and also the things we want. Like, as of late, there's some problems with the system, of course, but it's getting beat up a lot, and we're forgetting the utility of the whole system. It's like, I can go get these things, and I can do this thing in this field that didn't exist before, and like, somebody will give me this money in exchange for my time, and then I go get the phone that I'm filming this with, the microphone, the sunshades I have on. I don't know anything about making sunshades. That's something I'd have to specialize in just to figure out. But now I can exchange a little bit of time in something I've specialized in and get that medium, and then I give that medium to somebody else who made these shades, and they're happy to receive those shades because they put a lot of time and energy into making the shades, in exchange, in hopes that they could exchange that for some money. So it's I just really wanted to make that positive association with it, because we do have this tendency, this is a tendency to kind of relish in like inflation's taking the money and We should have never gave up the gold standard, which is an interesting story, by the way. Like, by the time we came off the gold standard in the U.S., we literally had no choice but to do it because they had already kind of perverted the system. That's a completely different discussion. I guess I'm just looking for different ways to say, like, how cool is it that we can use money in the way that we use money? It allows us to communicate, it allows us to collaborate, it allows people who don't have to worry about making a living, or not making a living, I don't have to worry about growing food. And then other people don't have to worry about growing food. And then one person can worry about growing food, and they get an exchange on that return. They get a return on that exchange of food, and in turn, we get a lot more time to pursue other things that increase technology and help everybody improve in life. So, yeah, and then the other cool part is this series, this thought process, whatever it is I'm doing. I feel like when I fully define this out, if I can help people reevaluate their relationship with money and the way we see money and bring it into a broader spectrum of realizing it's not just currency that is money, there's other things that are money, I think we can improve on this positive relationship. Most of the problems are due to not understanding. Actually, yeah, all the problems are two things from what I see. It's either the person making the purchase or spending the money or doing the monetary exchange does not understand what they're purchasing, so they do not understand the risk associated with that. That gives money a bad rep. And then two is there are those that have purposely made the system complex to try and make it confusing for people. Is that right? That's two things. But I guess there's kind of a third, and that is people who think they understand what they're doing, like somebody that's leveraging a lot of debt who didn't properly weigh all the risks. And then someone calls on that leveraged debt, and then they have a major problem. I mean, there's a fourth thing. I'm sorry, I forgot. And that is a different topic, and maybe I'll explore into that. That is this, there's something we did get in return for this whole specializing, and it's something we're not explaining to people, and this goes back to the confusion, and that is cash flow. See, it used to be okay if I didn't make money. I could grow my own food and still be alive. With the current society, we've traded and made this exchange, and it was before my generation and likely before your generation that we did this, and now we have no choice but to cash flow. And what I mean by that is I have an income. Out of that income, I have to pay for all my utilities and everything I'm going to need every month, and that is a reoccurring expense, which means I have to use my cash. I have to make it flow and flow. I can't just sit on the cash. I can't exist without spending the cash. Even if I grew my own crops, I still have taxes I have to pay. So I would have to sell a portion of those crops. And the problem, and the reason that's a problem, is we do not teach this at all. We teach financial management. We assume that everybody understands that this is the system. This is a new system. We haven't really lived in this manner before. And that's one of the bigger problems. And then we have the other three items. Like I said, primarily the complexity added to a system that we're not even explaining in the first place. And that's a really big deal. Like, if we just get around to the understanding of those things and then have that realization as a group and like kind of start protecting each other better, excuse me, fly. I think we would start removing a lot of those negative associations with money. It's definitely something we're going to start moving towards, and hopefully this is a step towards that, because we've become so accustomed to the benefits that we get from having money and cash flowing money that we don't realize, like when these problems occur, and it's not to say these problems are light, but when these problems occur, it completely overshadows how awesome having a common monetary system is, or a medium of exchange that everyone uses. Anyway, we'll stop there, and maybe I'll dig a little more into the cash flow and explain that out next time.